order the meeting of Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors, business meeting Tuesday, May 16, 2017, in the General District Courtroom of the Edwin R. Shields Courthouse Edition, 11 Main Street, China, Virginia. Roll call, Ms. Whitman.
Mr. Barber.
Yes, here.
Mr. Hagerman.
Here.
Mr. Blackstock.
Present.
Mr. Davis.
Present.
Mr. Scarce.
Here.
Mr. Barksdale.
Present.
And Mr. Warren.
Here. As we move to a moment of silence, I would like to request that you remember the family of Richard Wilson, which is Mr. Blackstock's stepfather that just recently passed away, and the family of Gary Vanderhyde, who just passed away, one of our valued employees, Ms. Kim Vanderhyde's father-in-law. And also tonight is law enforcement memorial service occurring over at the First Baptist Church, and then downstairs where you see the monuments to our fallen officers. So I would ask that you would observe a moment of silence with me and keep those families in your thoughts and our law enforcement. Thank you. Thank you. I'd ask that you would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move to agenda item 5, items to be added to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 items to be added to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Blackstock.
Under the consent portion of our agenda tonight, I'd like to add minutes of the April 3rd, 2017 Board of Supervisors special meeting. And under 5A, under a closed session, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body. Authority 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 is amended. Subject matter, county attorney. Purpose, performance evaluation.
Do I have a second to add it to the agenda? Any, no, we'll add them all. So we'll do them one at a time?
You do them both. I made the motion.
Yeah. All right. Got a second? In discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Any other amendments to the agenda?
I guess, do I need to just make a motion to add that motion that I'll be making later? Or should I go ahead and make that motion now?
Mr. Hart, what's your pleasure?
We have a section on there that talks about action and recommendations from any closed session items. Since that came from closed session at our work session, you can add it after 13 appointments at that section.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay, I need the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda with the added items.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barber, seconded by Mr. Barksdale. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. We're down to a hearing of citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, when you come forward to speak, please give your name and district. We ask that you speak into the microphone so that you can be heard. Please keep in mind that the public hearing of the citizens is not a format for question and answer. but I assure you that the board will be listening to your concerns. Any person who signed up to speak will have 3 minutes. If you are speaking on behalf of the group, then you will be allowed some extra time. We have a light system. When the amber light is on, you have approximately 1 minute of remaining time. I will call names in the order you signed up. We had one citizen sign up, and it's Chuck Agner. Okay.
My name is Chuck Angier. I'm from the Callens-Gretna District. I had no intention of speaking tonight, but after sitting through the work session a little while ago, I feel that I must, and when I get done, you'll know why. I had the pleasure of moving here 13 years ago with a business. And 11 years ago, I bought an old beat-up truck and made it the cornerstone of my business, and I still have it today. I don't have the exact numbers because, again, I was not prepared to speak tonight, but in 2013, the taxes on that truck was $170. In 2015, it was $80 approximately, and I just got my tax bill, and the tax bill was $8.75. Now, that truck would probably cost me $100,000 to replace it today with a new truck. It would cost me probably half of that to replace it with a used truck. The point I'm trying to make, especially after listening to you guys in the work session, was I feel like there's a lot of revenue being left on the table. I think I heard that over half of the RVs in the county are taxed at $8.75. So point I'm trying to make is I believe there might be a lot of revenue left on the table that you guys are missing. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Consent agenda?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Blackstock, seconded by Mr. Barber. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. We have a couple proclamations, but only one person here tonight to accept that, and that's for the Business Appreciation Week. Mr. Bob Eads. Privilege to recognize Business Appreciation Week. Thank you all and what the chamber does. If anyone doesn't know, he is chairman of the board for the Pittsylvania County Chamber of Commerce. So thank you very much, and we'll present this with you, and if you have any words, we'd love to hear it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the Danville, Pittsylvania County Chamber of Commerce members, thank you very much for your proclamation. I appreciate it.
Okay, we're down to public hearing. Rezoning cases. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 6 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Board of Supervisors, have been empowered to hear and decide specific zoning issues and zoning map changes in support of said ordinances. In accomplishing this important task, we are responsible for promoting the health, safety, and general public welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all of our decisions and regulations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its prosperity. Anyone here to speak to the board regarding zoning cases will be limited to 3 minutes. At this time, I will open the public hearing for Case 1. Arthur L. Kraft. Mr. Sykes. We opened that at 7:13.
All right, Mr. Chairman, Case 1, R17-016, Arthur Kraft has petitioned to rezone 1.27 acres located on U.S. Highway 58, South Boston Road in the Dan River Election District from A1 Agricultural District to B2 Business District General. Once the property is rezoned to B2, all of the uses listed under Section 35-365 of the zoning ordinance are permitted use. The Planning Commission, with no opposition, recommended granting the petitioner's request. Staff summary is enclosed in your board packet, and Mr. Chairman, Arthur Kraft is here to represent the petition.
Yes, Mr. Kraft, do you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Thank you. We will close the public hearing at 7:14. Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I've walked this property, and I don't see where it's any problem fitting into the comprehensive plan of Pittsylvania County. I would like to make the motion that we move this particular parcel from A1 to B2 in regards of the case of R-17-016.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Barksdale. Any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Flippin.
Mr. Barksdale.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Scares.
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock.
Yes.
Mr. Hagerman.
Yes.
Mr. Barber.
Yes.
Mr. Warren.
Yes. Moving to case 2, James Donald Warren, Westover District. We'll open the public hearing at 7:15.
Yes, Mr. Chair, in case 2, R-1-17-017, James Donald Warren has petitioned to rezone .44 of an acre located on State Road 1142 Ferry Road and on Beach Hollow Road in the Westover Election District from B2 Business District General to R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District. Once the property is rezoned to R1, all of the uses listed under Section 35-222 are a permitted use. The Planning Commission, with no opposition, recommended granting the petitioner's request. Staff summary is enclosed in your board packet, and Mr. Chairman, Don Warren is here to represent the petition.
Thank you. Mr. Warren, do you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public hearing at 7:16. Board's pleasure.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed this case, and the property meets the requirements of the county's comprehensive plan, so I'd like to make a motion that the board approve case number 2, R-17-017, to rezone from B2 Business District General to R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District on 0.44 acres located on State Road 1142 Ferry Road and on Beach Hollow Road in the Westover District.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Scarce, seconded by Mr. Barber. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Ms. Flippin.
Mr. Barber.
Yes.
Mr. Hagerman.
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock.
Yes.
Mr. Scares.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Barksdale.
Yes.
Mr. Warren.
Yes. Public hearing to receive citizens' input on the Board of Supervisors' potential recommending the abandonment subject to VDOT approval of the following portion of Shula Drive in Pittsylvania County, Virginia, Route 642, Shula Drive from US Highway 29 west to Route 988, Highway View Road, a total distance of .06 miles. Mr. Hunt.
Yes. Typically, individuals sign up for a public hearing have 3 minutes to speak. It's my understanding that some people tonight represent groups of people. Therefore, our bylaw, section 2.8, allows those people 10 minutes. This lighting system only tracks 3-minute increments. So if you are speaking for a group, I will give you hand signals and I'll use my telephone to time you for 10 minutes. Just please identify it when you take the podium, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. When you come forward to speak, if you're speaking for a group, please let us know you're doing that, and we'll recognize the group by having them stand so we know who you're representing. We will open the public hearing at 7:18, and the first person signed up is Ricky Haley.
Good evening. I'm trying to speak so you can hear me. I apologize for being hoarse tonight, but I'm speaking on behalf of the Mount Moriah Baptist Church, which is on...
Have the folks you speaking stand up, please. Thank you all for being here. Yes, sir.
And I'm opposed to the closing of the intersection there at Schuler Drive. I've lived in that community my entire life. I'm now 59 years old. It's not a dangerous intersection. What's dangerous are many of the drivers that use it. They break the traffic laws. I've seen cars that are headed in the same direction pull up beside each other in the intersection. No. I've seen people stop in the turning lane and want you to come across in front of them, and they are blocking the view of oncoming traffic, and other cars behind them sometimes pushing them on and egging them on. Same thing with people in the intersection. I've seen cars pull up behind them with their rear end sticking out onto Route 29 on both sides of the road. In my opinion, what needs to be done is maybe some signs put up instructing them what not to do, and then enforcing it with more police presence, maybe unmarked cars, because people do what's right when they see police cars there. But the intersection in itself is not dangerous. To close it would put myself at an inconvenience. I would have to go 2 or 3 miles out the way to come back to get to the church I pastor. So would many of my parishioners would have to go out of the way if they're coming to Gretna or Chatham. They would have to go at least a half a mile out of the way to take the next intersection. If you close it, the only thing that's going to happen is those dangerous drivers are just going to go up to 756 or the next intersection and make it dangerous. And so, closing it is not really going to help much of anything.
Thank you, Mr. Haley. Next person signed up is Tina Hendrick.
My name is Tina Hedrick. I'm at the Stanton River District. I have been sitting here, I have over 400 signatures for the petition to keep the road open. It is not a dangerous intersection. Most of the accidents that have been there has been impaired drivers, people not paying attention, not doing like they're supposed to. In the last meeting that y'all had at the Rueton Club, or the very first meeting, you had 2 people that had been in an accident, Elton Blackstock, and his granddaughter signed my petition to keep it open. And the Laniers, she made a comment about a caution light or a signal light. You're not thinking about the fire department, the ambulances, and right now there is nothing in hurt to help us since Campbell County, Alta Vista has closed down. So they're coming from Danville. The other night, thank God they did, because they saved my daughter's life. You're not thinking about the businesses. You're closing off that road. Myself, I use the road coming down by the dump and come down because the road going to the bottom part of Schuler is only big enough for 2 vehicles. So at 5 o'clock, 5:30, you got 2 vehicles. Where's my tail end going to be? It's going to be out in that road. You got 2 different speeds going both ways. Slow the speed down, caution light, signal light. From here to Charlottesville, there's 29 intersections, same factors. And I know that Jaybird Hill has more wrecks. Down there towards Sycamore has more wrecks. The money could be used somewhere else. Caution light, signal light. And like I said, I have over 400 signatures, over 400, that people want to keep it open. How many in here actually want to keep it open? Raise your hand. Pretty much said it. Do I turn this over to him?
Thank you very much, Ms. Hedrick.
Ms. Hedrick, just one correction. I know you're probably a little nervous. You mentioned
I am.
it.
I'm very nervous.
I want to make sure people don't think I had anybody in an
I know.
accident up
Elton.
there over the street.
Yeah, Overstreet. I don't know.
And you did a good job.
Thanks for the clarity, Mr. Blackstock. Next signed up is Harold Arthur.
Mr. Chairman, I called your office and stated that I would like to speak for several people here tonight, and I would like to do so. And I've gone through my talk several times.
Hold on just a second,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Arthur. Since I did it for the others, everybody that Mr. Arthur is speaking for, please stand. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Just want to be fair.
I know, because
Thank you, sir. My name's Harold Arthur, and I'm representative for Mr. Blackstock's district. Mr. Chairman, I had called, like I stated, and I wanted to speak before the group because, first of all, let me apologize to Mrs. Ellie Coyne's family for bringing up this very emotional subject, because I know it's hard on them. But this was brought out at the Motley meeting by Mr. Blackstock, and she was there, and I know it's difficult. But the object of this hearing is to consider the closing of Route 29, and I went to Mr. Blackstock's hearing to hear this, and I went to the supervisor meeting in Chatham a few weeks ago to also hear this. And I listened to Mr. Kreider from the VDOT make a presentation on the dangers of this intersection after studying the intersection. It's very interesting materials, things I'd never thought about. But it makes me think about them now every time I pull up to that intersection. There's several issues here I feel that have not been covered, and this board has the final say. I know that. We all know that. But none of you live in our community, and therefore you will be barely affected by your decision tonight. But everybody in this community will be affected by this decision, as has been previously stated. The Motley community will be affected long after the wrong decision, I feel. This road is being closed because a few people want it closed, and I really think it's for the wrong reason, to reiterate. This intersection has been open for about 43 years, according to the information I could learn. I've been using it for some 35 years myself, and I use it every time I go down 29 and cross over. Yes, I own properties. To state, do I have a conflict of interest? I do own property on that road. I own a house on that road. If the intersection were totally unsafe, I would not use it. I'd go down 2.4 miles or 1.2 miles and come back just like everybody else. And those people who want it closed have that option. They don't have to shut the rest of us off. But I don't drink and get on the highway. And this is, I think, a really pertinent factor. If I had showed up here drunk, all of you would have known right away. The man that caused this accident, caused a fatality, got behind the wheel drunk, violated Virginia laws, and Mrs. Coyne paid the ultimate price. And there are laws in this state for drunk drivers. Mr. Blackstock, I applaud you for your efforts in trying to fulfill requests on certain interests in our neighborhood and community and trying to please everyone. It's a very difficult chore in your position, and I do appreciate that because I've been in that position. The government isn't always right, though. Any citizen that feels unsafe can go the extra 2.4 miles over the overpass. These same citizens shouldn't be allowed to restrict the rest of us. This intersection is a shortcut to get to a hayfield, to get to church, to push snow for the church with a tractor, to cross 29 with a tractor, which are very difficult to go other ways to get to that church. This intersection is used for emergency vehicles. The state police helicopter used our hayfield one time to transport a patient from an ambulance to a helicopter and fly them off to Lynchburg. And that was during the 4th of July week. And it happened down there, and we have since had a request from that office to use that field, which we would gladly honor. Now that we have access to Gretna Hospital, it would be still 2.4 miles further to go to the overpass in a medical emergency to cross 29. Time is vital. You don't have that much time in a medical emergency. You have to make a decision. You have to get people on the scene. All of you know that. It's not new. Route 29 is a future, I realize, for a future interstate, the thought of anyway. But the south of Hurt Town, according to the internet, there are approximately 11,000 vehicles go down that road on average per day. And they average this out over a week's period of time. Traffic deaths, yes, are up in Virginia, which I learned, by 6%. Nationally, they're up 14%. But the theories are cheap gas, more people on the road due to cheap gas, texting, cell phones, not wearing seat belts, and most of the deaths don't occur among young people if you look up the stats. The deaths occur between the 36 and 50-year-olds, which is ironic. But they are the busy people. And you have to go back and look at some other factors. Last year in Virginia, 728 people died in this state from drug overdoses. That's more than the number of people who died on the highway. Pretty close, but almost the same. Virginia has 9 deaths per 100,000 people who've driven 1.3 million miles, and there's 9 deaths. Alcohol influences traffic deaths by 24.2%. Southside Virginia is not a real safe place to live when you look at the stats. If you compare us to Northern Virginia, it's much better in Northern Virginia than it is here. And look on the computer, you'll see it just like I did. Alcohol facts, 241 people killed in alcohol-related deaths, 2014, according to Virginia statistics. So this is a lot of contrary information, which was not even brought out at the hearing that we listened to from VDOT. The state of Virginia does its part. Last year, they tested almost 19,000 people for blood alcohol content. Last year, they wrote tickets for 21,000 approximate DUIs. The alcohol-related crashes in Virginia last year was 7,620. In Pittsylvania County, there were 65 crashes. Fatalities, 19. Alcohol-related, 61. Danville, 890 crashes. Fatalities, 3. Alcohol-related, 70. Lynchburg, 1,348 crashes. Fatalities, 2. Alcohol-related, 95 people drunk. And if you look at the stats even further and read down, and it's a lot to read, people who failed to yield the right-of-way, there were 56 fatalities in this state last year. That's what happened at that intersection, 56 fatalities in the state. If you run a traffic light, there were 19 deaths in this state last year. You go back and look at the use of this intersection. Fire trucks use this intersection where you live, and it determines sometimes whether people survive. You all know that. The Mayo Clinic shows that in studies, lives are saved if you can get there under 6 minutes. When you live in the county, you can't get there under 6 minutes from any place where there's a fire station, where we live. If you look at the cardiac arrest patients, you've got about 6 minutes to get there and use an AED on them and defibrillate them. If you go back and look at one historic thing that caused a lot of this information was a lady named Julia Rasnick in Washington, D.C. She was a block and a half from the fire station. She was 21 years old, jogging the city, had a heart attack. Her heart got an irregular beat. She died watching the ambulance go in the other direction because they didn't know which way she was. And this is very unfortunate. It's shown in Seattle that first responders can show more likely to be positive their results if they arrive in as quick a time as possible. Seattle, Washington has the best record in the country if you look at the stats. Washington, D.C. has one of the worst. Seattle has a 45% record. Washington, D.C. has a 5% record, so don't get sick there. But if you look at the people that live in the country, you're more likely to die, and that includes most of the people here. So if you block that road, you're getting in the way of an ambulance, a fire truck, or somebody who can save your life. We have a launch ramp up at the end of that for Leesville Lake. You've got to have access to that, and I've seen that ambulance go up that road many times. And I think a lot of other people here have seen the same thing. If you look at the fire department in this county and you look at the stats, you look at it, and Pittsylvania County had 2,800 fire calls last year. If you look at the stats for the emergency service calls, 7,600. That's a big difference. We need ambulance service more than we do fire services. So those people have to cross, and they're limited in time as to what they can do. You as a board know the problems already going on in Alta Vista, I'm sure, with the EMS service over there. That's northern Pennsylvania County, and we're affected by that. And right now, they're shut down as part of it. And I hope they've opened it back up, but a couple of weeks ago, they weren't even allowed to use that.
Your 10 minutes is up. What
I've
you're
got
saying is
about-
important. Can you just please wrap it up when you get a chance?
Yes, sir, I've got
Thank you.
about a half a paragraph.
Perfect.
I don't want any loss of life, but are we closing this intersection and punishing good people for a few bad ones? And I think that is really the most pertinent statement I'll make up here. This is the intersection and an artery to both sides of this community, and I thank you all for the job you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Next person signed up is Dallas Moore.
No, but I need more.
Members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't come here to speak tonight, but what little I did have to say has just about been said. I have been a police officer for 36 years, retired now, and living in my community. And what I like to say is the intersection itself is not the problem. People, drivers, are the problem. And I really can't add anything on to what's been said. I'd just like to say it would be real inconvenient to see this closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Next person signed up is Jessica Toller.
My name is Jessica Toller. I'm from the Stanton River District. I agree with a lot of things that many other people have said today. I don't think that the road should be closed because it will hinder emergency personnel. It will hinder other businesses like G&S, Expert Aluminum, Terry's Auto Repair, many other businesses in that area. And I feel if it is closed, there'll be more wrecks in the area because of the traffic, especially during the 5 o'clock hours. So I'm asking for it to stay open. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Toller. Next signed up is Brian Lamb.
My name is Brian Lamb, and I'm against closing the intersection. Not only like Ms. Toller just said, we use that intersection every day. We got people using it to go to the lake, for Expert Aluminum, for G&S Market, Terry's Auto, surrounding business. There's a local diner right there. And if y'all close that intersection down, we're gonna have to go all the way up 29 to come across, come back down to go the other way, to go to the lake or wherever in that area. Or we're gonna, if we come down, we're gonna have to go all the way back up, all the way back down, just to come back on the Shula Drive on the side I live on. There's no need to close that intersection. Put caution lights up, put a reduced speed limit sign down to 45 miles an hour. Put state troopers in the area, make people slow down. You know, that's the only problem with that intersection. I walk across that intersection from time to time, just out on a walk, going to a friend's house. I don't drive it all the time, I walk. I have no problem crossing that intersection walking, coming or going. Anytime, it's just sitting there. I watch people run the stop signs all the time, not paying attention to what they're doing. Pull up in the medium section, crowd the medium section. You know, I mean, they need a sign up there that says, do not crowd the intersection. And a lot of people has bad habits of doing that, pulling up there like one person said earlier, double cars side by side in the intersection. Very dangerous. And the way I see it, you know, that can be avoided by putting up a sign that says don't do it. And if you get caught doing it, make it a healthy fine, you know. And there's no reason to shut that intersection down, not only for law enforcement, but rescue squad and fire both. I mean, what if you lived right there on the other side of the intersection, at the top of the intersection where you turn to go to Highway View Drive or go on out Schuler toward GNS. What if you lived right there and you having a heart attack? And the rescue squad got to drive at 1.2 or 1.4 miles down 29, cross that bridge, then come back 3.4 miles back down that road, Highway View Drive to Schuler, to get to that one person. That's 5-6 minutes right there. Where they could have turned and went straight across 29 and up the hill and been right there. Bam, save a life. You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know why everybody's against closing the intersection. I know people, I mean, you need to slow down, they need to slow down coming through there because we got people that pull boats across there, pull car trailers, tow truck drivers use that intersection all the time. And when you get it like that, something needs to be done. They just need to slow down.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Next person signed up is Sherwood Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable board members. I'm Sherwood Zimmerman. I live in the Stanton River District. My family just today closed on a purchase of the Leesville Lake Marina. And certainly, closing that intersection would have a profound impact. It's a marginal opportunity there with a marina on Leesville Lake as it is. We don't expect to make any money at least for probably 3 or 4 years, hoping to break even. But that is the most direct access to the Leesville Lake Marina. And if that was closed, all the boats coming from the south are gonna have to go several miles north, turn around, come back, come through a residential area, pass by where the dumpsters are, which could create a major traffic jam all the way back to 29 if somebody's waiting there to turn in. So it's certainly not, I don't think, in the county's best interest to do anything that would in any way create a problem for a business to succeed in our county. We need all the businesses we can get, and there are numerous businesses on Schuler Drive that support our community and need that vital access there, that direct access. People that want to shop in Danville, if they come out and turn north and go towards Lynchburg, 2 miles later, they're closer to Lynchburg than they are to Danville. They may just decide to keep on going. So it'll impact everybody in the economic world. Schuler Drive is the only one of 2 accesses to the entire 100-mile shoreline of Leesville Lake. We only have 2 public accesses to Leesville Lake, and one of them is off of Schuler Drive. And so certainly that's another consideration when we look at people using the lake for recreation. I think that it's important that we look at the economics of this thing and understand that it is so vital to our community to support businesses every way we can, and certainly maintaining a direct access would do that as far as the marina is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. Next signed up is Abdul Nazar. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Mr. Chairman and board members, I humbly request to you guys that please don't close that intersection. You have listened to all the community which is sitting beside me and on the chairs, and you have listened a lot of comments, what they are saying. It is really not appropriate to close that intersection. I am GNS owner on that area, lot of traffic, lot of board traffic, lot of people's that Heron Point, people's lives around there, lot of community live there. And I make the business from those peoples. And my living is over there. If that intersection closed, these all community peoples which are sitting on these chairs, they will not coming to my store. They will be going either further to Sycamore or either going to Alta Vista, and it will hurt my business very badly. I humbly request to all of you, please and please don't close that intersection. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Rusty Giles.
My name is Rusty Giles, and I live on Schuler Drive in the Stanton River District. I'm glad, I have to look up that way. I just want to make sure that the deputy's still back there, because I want everybody to know that I was on the committee that made this decision. And we had no idea it would be this kind of a support for the people against this decision. We were given about 7 different, I want to turn around, but anyway, we were given about 7 different options of things to improve that intersection. And if I am correct, Elton can correct me if I'm not, I think all but one included closing that intersection or blocking access to it to keep people from cutting all the way across. Speaking for myself only, and someone made this comment, my family and I will never again use that intersection because of what I learned in the committee meetings. But with this kind of an outcry from the people, it's not going to bother me one bit if it's not closed. It's not that I wanted it closed personally. This was a committee decision. Sometimes committees make mistakes. I'm not just saying we made a mistake, but obviously it's not what the community wanted. And I also wanted to quickly say that I've also learned to really appreciate our Board of Supervisors. No matter what is decided by the Board of Supervisors, they could be wrong. And this came out when we were trying to pick what option to pick too, because if they don't do anything and we have another fatality there or a bad accident, then everybody's going to be calling Elton for Stanton River and saying, you should have done something. And if he does something, and surely down the road there's going to be another accident, then they'll call him and say, you picked the wrong one. So these guys can't win. And they got a really tough job. And I just wanted to let people know a little bit about the committee, why we chose this. They gave us options ranging from $150,000 to $2.5 million. And like I say, all but one, I believe, included closing that intersection. And we picked the $150,000 one, and we were told, don't go on dollars. Go on what you think is the best solution. And this, in our opinion, was the best solution, but we just didn't know it was going to cause such an uproar in Motley. So, and I also want to say I appreciate the fact that the people against the decision have worked so hard to get their voice known. And I'm not so sure it wasn't started by Terry and his wife. And they've worked really hard on this, so my time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giles. Next signed up is Roger Clements.
I have a number of names petition on closing the Schuler Drive.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Roger Clements, Stanton River District. And first off, I would like to commend the people that took part in the safety study of the west side of 29 bypass. A very in-depth study of all areas to make this crossing safer and was well presented. This crossing has been a problem of too many accidents for over 30 years, causing too many injuries and most of all, too many deaths. And I know it was mentioned about the wrong people in the area, but it was a 5-year-old child that got killed in one of these accidents. So it's just a bad intersection, and there's got to be something done about it. And now we have the opportunity to do something about it, and we have come too far not to. We, the people, want to close to save lives. And if just one life is saved, it will be well worth it. This is our main concern preventing the loss of life. There are 2 Gretna school buses that cross this intersection in the evenings with children on it. And if the board doesn't go along with closing this intersection, those 2 school buses need to go up to the 29 Bridge crossover. Because we do not want a school bus hit broadside by, say, a tractor trailer. Well, not even a car. You got children on board of school bus. So this is definitely got to be changed if you don't close it. And anybody pulling a trailer at this intersection have to be extra careful, because you can't stop safely in the intermedium, because your extra length could cause this intersection a bigger reason for an accident. Most people on the east side mainly go to the dumpster. That's their main reason they cross. And the question to you supervisors is this, and to every person within these 4 walls: how far are you willing to go out of your way? How much of your time are you willing to give up to save a life? This is all about saving lives, not about causing an inconvenience. Can we look at inconvenience over a life? I don't think so. Life is precious. Let us do the right thing and close Schuler Drive. Now, I know these businesses that were mentioned, the aluminum siding business is close to competition as Danville, Lynchburg. And GNS Market, he gets all the fishing and water sporting. Leesville Lake, he gets all that business, plus the camping business. If you block off, close the west side, your fire department, health people, all those people are coming mainly from Hurt and Alta Vista. And they just, coming from Alta Vista, they can just cross road bypass and be in Mott. They don't have to come down and cross where we don't want to close the west side. They don't have to cross that. And same way for medical people. So we would like to see it closed if possible. No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clements. Next up is J.V. Moser.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, honorable board members. My name is Jason Moser. I'm a resident of the Motley Sycamore Precinct of the Stanton River District, and I come before you tonight to discuss the matter of the closure of the west leg of Schuler Drive. I think we can all agree that life is precious. There's nothing more paramount than the safety of our family and friends. However, I do not feel that we have considered the full impact that the closure of this road would have on the area residents and businesses. The information I've researched from the U.S. Postal Service, postmasters at Gretna and Alta Vista, we have currently 215 active boxes or households through the Rockford School Road block of 11 to 1200 area, and Marina Drive and side streets, including Gallows Road. On Route 3, which is serviced through Alta Vista, we have 444 active boxes or households. A conservative estimate would yield at least 2 vehicles per household, and an even more conservative estimate would say probably half of that traffic would use that intersection. I have lived in this area my whole entire life. God willing, I will pass away being a resident of Gallows Road. I feel that closing this road in, we already have 2 dead-end areas with these residents landlocked. Are we merely displacing this traffic issue and moving it upward to the Route 29 Highway View Road overpass. Everyone who lives in that area knows that that area is very heavily traveled. Highway View Road is a residential area. Children live in that area. According to Mr. Kennon Scott, Pittsylvania County School Transportation Services, 7 school buses service or come through that area. According to the 2016 study done by Matt Connor, 1,700 vehicles per day is the traffic volume currently estimated for the west leg of that area. To me, it is folly to close that area based on simple traffic projections. To constrain all of that traffic to another area, Highway View Road, Harbor Drive, Pittsylvania County Solid Waste Collection and Recycling Center, all the traffic that goes there, I think we can definitely guarantee that you will experience more problems. Not to mention the safety aspect. Our EMS and fire first responders, in the event of an emergency, time is of the essence, minutes count. And I don't know how I can improve on the previous statements. However, I think you can see the importance of having a point of egress that you can quickly and efficiently access Route 29. I don't think it's wise to constrain the traffic to even more problematic area. And so anyway, I do want to commend the board for their efforts in reviewing the matter, as well as VDOT and law enforcement officials on the study and the improvements that have been made thus far. And I feel that with the wisdom, the collective wisdom and knowledge that this board, along with VDOT and law enforcement agencies, I feel that we can come to a compromise that will serve the needs of the community while also making sure safety is paramount. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I think I got Kim Stone.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I do sign the wrong document. I didn't come out in the discussion.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is Curtis Arthur.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be speaking for a couple of people. My name is Curtis Arthur. I live in the Stanton River District. And it's some tough decisions for the Board of Supervisors. I've had a business on Shooter Drive for 42 years. I was born and raised on Shooter Drive. It was, used to be 642, still is, but they changed the names of it. Never had an accident. I cross the road every day. And since it's come up, I raise hay on both sides of Shooter Drive. If you close it down, I gotta go an extra 10 miles to get to my hay field. All the way through Sycamore, all the way through the town of Hurt. My hay bind is 12 foot wide. I pull behind the tractor. I measured the road today. It's 8.5 foot from the center of my road in front of my house, from the yellow line in the center to the white line on the outside, 8.5 foot. When I pulled up a road within a mile where I live at, I had to watch for mailboxes, meeting somebody, and they told me safety. I feel like everybody's put my life at safety. I gotta drive 10 miles, now I drive 1.5 miles. And I have 8 employees. And I have to pay workman compensation insurance every year. And accidents, I try to avoid them as much as I can, everywhere I turn. And I'm a businessman, yes, but I raise 500 rolls of hay roughly every year, and I'll sell them to the people in the community. I have Father's Farm in Rena buys a lot of hay from me. Spinelli, Elizabeth, next to Sycamore, he bought a lot of hay from me in these local areas, and I use the road, and my truck and trailer is probably 50 foot long. I drive it over there like once a week across that road. And and I own 15 places on Schuler Drive. As you go across the road, 15 places I clean snow at every year. And sometime the church I go to, they call me, want me to clean the driveway. And it's inconvenient. Mount Moriah Baptist Church, they was talking about, a group a while ago spoke, they called me to clean their driveway so they didn't have service. And it's, I don't know how to describe it, that how much more out of the way I gotta go to be riding a tractor, people driving 50 and 60 mile an hour, and my tractor runs 18 mile an hour. And everybody's talking about safety, and I know I don't want to see nobody lose a life, especially mine. I feel like mine is more important than anybody else's, like you feel like yours. But I'm just telling you that closing the road ain't the answer to it. It's put in 1973. I was born and raised over there in 1946. I remember very proud they took part of our land when it come through there, the highway did. But the people that drive these vehicles, if they had a state trooper down there, I'd be willing to pay the salary for 30 days if he said it every day. It would stop half of it, I'm telling you. But I was sitting there all day on my truck, and somebody behind me blowing the horn like crazy. And I had to sit there 4 minutes to get across the road. I'd have sat there all day if I had to. But the point of it is, people's in a hurry, cell phone. I'd have been hit one time by a girl drive down the road on the cell phone and it knocked my mirror off my truck. And you know, it's just, I might get killed before I get home. I hope I don't. But you got to pay attention to what's going on. And this Schuler Drive, if it closes it off, it's going to hurt a lot of people. Everybody said, oh, I ain't going to hurt your business. How they know? They ain't in business. And I tell you what, the way the economy's been, everybody needs the business somewhere or another to make it grow. And everybody got to work together. And I know it's going to cause a lot of hard feelings about this road being closed. Staying open either one. You know, please everybody. And I admire the job y'all do. I'll set up here on the planning commission, I know. But I hope that y'all keep it open. I made a school bus the other day. A school bus is 35 foot long. And they come across the intersection every day. I went up on one day and sat down. It's about 4 school buses come there every morning and every evening. And I think some of them is in here tonight, school bus drivers. Now, I know that talking about people getting hurt, yeah, everybody's gonna get hurt one day. We don't know how we're gonna leave this world. And it's probably a good thing we don't. But closing the road ain't the answer to it. If y'all know something to make it better, a light, or anything you do to help it, that'd be fine, but closing ain't the answer to it. I can tell you that. I have my notes here somewhere in here. But everybody's for safety. And safety means everything. I don't want to see nobody get hurt, your family, my family, anybody. But you got to look at the people who use that road. They don't respect it, and I'll look at the government. And they sell, look every day at ABC stores. I can go in there and buy it, you can go and buy it, but you know, anytime I walk by it, I ain't got to do nothing with it. But I got respect for other people. And that's what I hope y'all have respect for us. And all these people here tonight says a lot. And I want to appreciate your job you're doing, Mr. Blackstock. I know you've got a hard job. And I'm glad you got the election, to be honest with you. But the point of it is, I want this road to stay open for our benefit because I earn money from it. And the cows eat the hay and they produce the milk, and somebody earns money from that. And I guarantee all of us in here have milk every morning, probably in cereal or something. But the road we got to keep it open for the community, and we hope nobody else don't get hurt. And I hope y'all understand very much, and I appreciate y'all listening to us. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Hoff. Next individual that signed up was Timothy Lane.
Timothy Lane, Stanton River District. Mr. Chairman, Board, appreciate to be able to speak up here. And Deb, that road has been open, and I've lived on Schuler Drive all my life. And if you count the deaths from 29 to Sycamore Creek Bridge, it's more deaths been from 1 mile off of 29 than it has been at that intersection. In my life, I've seen deaths. And I'm in the bulldozer business, run heavy equipment all my life. I cross that crossing from the east to the west, and I've crossed it all my life, pulling a tractor trailer, a bulldozer. And if you close it, it's gonna be terrible for me, because I'm gonna have to go all the way down to the exit, flip back around, or either that, or go to Sycamore, which is more dangerous to cross there. So it's all in y'all's hands, and I appreciate y'all's job and to be able to make a decision. We thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. That was the last person that signed up for the public hearing. I will close the public hearing at 8:03. Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I want to go into a little bit of background of this. When Mr. Marshall Eckert passed away, close to 4 years ago now, I was appointed to the board by the Board of Supervisors and subsequently elected twice since then, once through a special election. But this particular issue, from the time I was appointed to the board up until last night, because I was still receiving phone calls about it, I've received more calls and more requests concerning this intersection than anything else that I've been involved with. So I went back after I began to get calls when I was appointed to the board, and I looked at what Mr. Eckert had done, and he had requested a study, and I read over what VDOT had done. They had increased the size of the stop signs, I think from 30 inches to 36, and some other small details. And people in the community that called me were not satisfied with that. So I asked for a second study. Second study was done, and it wasn't, I don't think it was a thorough, I did not think it was a thorough study. And so what I did, I went back and asked VDOT again for another study. The results of that study were emailed to me the day that Ms. Goins was killed. A lady was killed up there the same afternoon. And that's where, if you look now, they painted the yellow on the road and a couple other small things. So as your supervisor, I felt it was my responsibility to do everything I could to bring attention to this matter with VDOT and with the community to try to come up with something that would resolve the issue. So I got with VDOT. We actually got money to hire a consultant to carry us through the process to do an RSA study. It's rare for VDOT to come up with money to do anything quickly. So when we did the study, they asked for, VDOT had done these type of studies one other time down around Charlotte Courthouse in Charlotte County. And I know the sheriff down there, and I asked them how that come out, and they seemed to be pleased with it. So I thought it was a good route to go. So when we sat down and went through the options in the study, and I've tried to be very careful to the people the citizens, and I want to thank the citizens who served on the committee, as well as law enforcement and some people from fire and rescue. But I've tried to be very careful not to throw anybody under the bus. Mr. Giles, you're a brave soul to come up here tonight and stand up and say you were on that committee. I feel like as your elected official, I'm the one that should take the brunt of it from citizens. But I've tried to be very careful not to try to blame the committee or anybody else. All those options were laid out. So when people have called me about this issue. I have asked them to show up at the public hearing. I knew petitions for both sides were circulating. When I say both sides, I hate it for the community that this issue is splitting our community, because something like this should not split the community. We need to come together and come up with something that'll work for everybody. So what I intend to do is ask the board tonight to schedule this on our next work session. I have the documentation. I'm going to also ask that our county administrator contact Jay Craddock with VDOT and have him there. So if we have any questions from other board members, and we take a look at all those options that were presented to the committee and go back and see if we can come up with something that, instead of dividing the community, will bring us together, will bring a community together. So that's where we are with that. I'd like to say, Mr. Moser, you were spot on. You really did a good job up there, as well as everybody else. But it was obvious that you did some research, and also you, Mr. Arthur. I've met with several of you one-on-one, and when I met with Curtis, and he talked about having to carry his hay equipment all the way up to Sycamore, and by the way, my father-in-law was involved in a very serious accident at that very intersection before he died. So I know that intersection is dangerous also. But I'm thankful for all of y'all showing up, for the phone calls, and I think we will get something done this time around. Be patient. When you're dealing with government, things don't happen as fast as you would like. But I'm going to ask that this be scheduled at the next board meeting at our work session, not the 7 o'clock session, but at our work session, which starts at 4:30 unless we change it. We didn't have enough time today, and they're talking about making it longer. But anyway, so we can discuss as a board what will maybe we can come up with something that'll work for everybody. So.
Thank you. Mr. Hunt.
Yes.
Do we need to do anything to make this clean?
I think Mr. Blackstock should just make a motion to put it on the next work session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we place the discussion of the Schuler Drive Route 29 intersection on the next work session agenda for the June meeting.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Blackstock, seconded by Mr. Barber. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you all for being here on that issue tonight. That really is democracy at work, and I know because I talked to each one of the board members over the last month, they all got calls, so we appreciate it. We appreciate Mr. Blackstock and all of his efforts to work this through and to bring the community together on the issue for a solution, and I'm sure he'll do that. Thank you.
I'm going to try. I got to live over there.
Okay, we'll move to new business. Item 8, financial matters, expenditure refund for April 2017. Mr. Smitherman. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Provided is a expenditure refund list submitted by Finance Director Kim Vanderhyde. It does require a 10-day layover and will be need a motion to approve, and we will put it on your next agenda to finalize after the layover.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we reappropriate $120,767.61 as listed on page 145 in the board packet.
Please keep your voices down as you're leaving, please. We're still in session. Thank you.
I second it.
Motion made by Mr. Blackstock, seconded by Mr. Davis. It requires a 10-day layover. Item 8B, library transfer. Mr. Smitherman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Library Director Ms. Toot has provided a request to transfer $1,433 from the Memorial Gifts Fund to the local library budget for operational purposes.
Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the board approve the transfer of $1,432.94 from the Memorial Gifts Fund, Fund 265, to the local library budget, line item 100-4-073-100.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barksdale, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Workforce Investment Board, Pathways to American Dream Grant. Mr. Smitherman.
Thank you, sir. As you know, we are the fiscal steward for the local Workforce Investment Board. We have been requested to accept a grant in the amount of $78,575. If you approve this evening, that will require a roll call vote.
Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I make the recommendation that we appropriate a total of $78,575 as set forth in the attached project budget to the WIA fund.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Barksdale. Any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Flippin, roll call.
Mr. Barber.
Yes.
Mr. Hagerman.
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock.
Yes.
Mr. Scares.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Barksdale.
Yes.
Mr. Warren.
Yes. Item D, Fire Marshal, Norfolk Southern Foundation Grant. Mr. Smitherman.
Yes, sir. In October 2016, the county submitted a request to Norfolk Southern for $2,000 for the Fire Marshal's Office to purchase 2 hydrocarbon detectors. That grant has been awarded, and we are asking that that $2,000 be appropriated to the line item listed on page 173. This does also require a roll call vote.
Thank you. Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put that in form of a motion as stated by the county administrator.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barber, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Ms. Flippin.
Mr. Barksdale.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Scares.
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock.
Yes.
Mr. Hagerman.
Yes.
Mr. Barber.
Yes.
Mr. Warren.
Yes. Item 9, Comprehensive Service Act matters. Mr. Smitherman.
Yes, sir. This evening, Ms. Cheryl Boswell, the director of the CSA program, is here to present the, is it quarterly attendance report?
It's quarterly. I'm actually a little late, but it's because of trainings that I've had over the last 2 months that have managed to coincide on the same nights. So I was unable to attend until a little later. But yes, I have to usually give the quarterly report. Members have to attend 75% of the meetings for the year so far. Everyone is in compliance for this year up through April, because we do that by calendar year every year. So I'm just reporting that everyone's in good standing at this point. Hopefully that will continue for the whole year. Secondly, also, the Board of Supervisors has to approve anytime a director of a department who usually sits on our community policy and management team wants to appoint a designee in their place. I have 2 different letters that should, I guess, be in your packets. The first is from the director of the Community Services Board, Jim Bebo. He has sat on our board for many years, but due to being moved up to a state board, he is handing down to Sandy Irby, who has been attending our meetings as the alternate for the last year, so she is very well prepared to take over. And then Veronica Anzoros-Pinel will be her alternate in case she cannot attend. And the second would be, we now have Dr. Spillman as the director of the health department. To begin with, he was going to serve on the board, but due to his restrictions with serving the health department, we discussed it and decided that more than likely he would not be able to meet that 75% of meetings for the year. So he has also appointed a designate as Cynthia Rabati, who's a RN that works under him, and an alternate under that as Natalie Whitlow. So I just need the approval of those.
Thank you, Ms. Ball. Board's pleasure.
I'll make a motion to allow the request for the designees and their alternates.
I second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Blackstock, seconded by Mr. Barksdale. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I know we've got some new board members, and it took me a while to catch on, but we got in a lot of trouble with this a few years back. Mr. Hunt, is these changes we're going to make, are they going to meet the legal requirements?
They'll be fine, yes, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to hear it in public from a lawyer.
I agree. I don't want to.
Because I will throw him under the bus.
I checked out all the policy before.
We're still getting on.
Yes, will be for another 6 years or so.
Any additional discussion? I would just like to thank you, Ms. Boswell. You do a great job over there, and appreciate you coming in and providing information. Certainly appreciate these folks and all the services that you all provide.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I would like to thank Mrs. Boswell, Cheryl. As a matter of fact, we bought her house when we moved to Pittsylvania County. But anyway, what I wanted to say is you've done a fantastic job for the people of the county, and it's. I hope you continue to work at this. It's because it was a mess at one time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Item 9B is additional appropriation. Mr. Smitherman.
And I'm going to ask Ms. Boswell to stick close in case there are any questions. This is, you're all aware that the volume of clients that we're serving in Ms. Boswell's program has been steadily increasing over the last several number of years. So much so that we've had to appropriate additional funds. I know in the previous year budget, and this year again, we're going to have to ante up along with the state to meet the demand on this important service. Tonight, we are asking you for an additional appropriation of $3.8 million to the CPMT budget pool funds, and of that, about $628,000 will be local money. As you're aware, and as briefed by Ms. Vanderhyde earlier this evening, that liability, once she started skinning back the numbers, we originally were told it was going to be around $899,000. And Ms. Vanderhyde, based upon previous experience in the budget, we believe our actual cash out of pocket is going to be closer to $628,000 for the rest of this year. So we're asking for additional appropriation of $3.8 million and $628,170 from unassigned fund balance.
Okay. Any questions of Ms. Boswell on this particular issue while we have her here?
I got some comments. Do you want to have a motion so we can get discussion?
Well,
Mr. Black,
Okay.
you can give some comments now. It's 10 days, you're not supposed to have discussion, but we certainly can drill deeper into this at the next meeting.
Okay.
If you desire.
We can ask questions.
You can ask questions now.
We just can't do it after we do the.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to make it clear to the citizens in the audience, this is $628,000 added to our budget that we did not plan for. And last year we had, I think it was $260,000, the same type of request. And I want to make this clear, I'm not blaming you, but this is something that's just snowballing and, in my opinion, getting out of control. And we have to get a handle of it so we can budget for it. I mean, it's really something that we cannot, we're mandated basically to do. We don't have a choice. But $628,000, that's a penny, a penny and a half on your real estate tax. Every penny that we add to the real estate tax, every 1 cent, generates around $400,000. So it would take a penny and a half of additional real estate tax to cover this one request. And this keeps popping up year after year. And so, I'm hoping that maybe at the next meeting we get some details on what's going on and why.
Any other questions or discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just
Yes.
want to echo Mr. Blackstock's committee, but actually we sometimes kick around the term unfunded mandate, and this is exactly what it is. We have to, we don't have a choice, that's been stated by Ms. Blackstock, but no money, or we have to provide a certain match. So it's unfortunate, but we have to do what we need to do.
Any other discussion? I would echo the same comments of my two colleagues. I will say you all do a great job, and I served as a representative for the board last year, and it was certainly a good education for a year. And I know Mr. Scarce is on it now, and he's getting the same education because we've shared with it. I would ask that when you come back next week, if you could provide us with any, because this is not just Pittsylvania County situation. This is happening throughout the state and throughout the nation. So, you know, are there any conversations or talks about ways to reduce this, better predict this, education programs to help the folks that are in the needs of this? Because, you know, I think sometimes we kind of give money trying to fix the current problem, which is something we should be doing, but also we are so busy fixing the problem, we're not fixing the immediate problem. We're not looking at solutions to fix it long-term and help everybody long-term. So, you know, if you could make some comments about this the next time would be wonderful. Okay? Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we appropriate $3.8 million to the CPMT budget pool fund, which would include local funds of $628,170 from unassigned fund balance and $3,171,830 from state CSA funds.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Blackstock, seconded by Mr. Barksdale. It requires a 10-day layover. Thank you, Mr. Barker. We're down to item 10, Chatham Armory deed and resolution. Mr. Hunt.
The board discussed this in greater detail at the work session at 4:30 today. If the board desires to own the recently decommissioned Chatham Armory for $1 with the deed restrictions and right of first refusal, the board needs to adopt and pass resolution 2017-5-01, which is on page 189 of your packet, and at the same time authorize the county staff to execute the deed that's also in your packet, starting on page 182, transferring ownership from the Commonwealth of Virginia to Pittsylvania County, Virginia.
Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we pass along the resolution of 2017-05-01 attached, authorizing transfer of ownership of the Chatham Armory from the DMA to the county via attached deed.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Barksdale. Discussion. Seeing none. Ms. Flippin, roll call.
Mr. Scarce?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Barksdale?
Yes.
Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Warren, just one thing for the citizens. We discussed this in detail at the meeting that started at 4:30 today, so we're not just up here willy-nilly voting to accept the Armory. We've been over the details.
And not only this afternoon, many times over the last year. Thank you, Mr. Blackstock. Item 11, Animal Shelter Service Operations. Mr. Sides. Mr. Sides.
Mr. Chairman, you heard during the work session today, a status report. Can you come up to the microphone for the tape, please? Thank you.
You heard during the work session today, a status report, an update on where we are on the RFP for animal services, the new animal shelter. If the board chooses to move forward with the process as we discussed today, the next steps would be to authorize the county administrator to undertake contract negotiations with the Lynchburg Humane Society and advertise for a public hearing for citizen input to be held Monday, June 5th, 2017 at 7 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we have the county administrator to undertake contract negotiations with the Lynchburg Humane Society and to advertise for a public hearing for citizen input on Monday, June 5th, 2017 at 7 p.m. to allow the Board of Supervisors to act on any necessary contracts or agreements.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Blackstock, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? Again, this is an item that we discussed at length for a good period of time, not only today's work session, but prior work sessions. Seeing no questions or discussions, all in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Item 12, Virginia Cooperative Extension Service Lease. Mr. Smitherman.
Yes, sir. As you're aware, for the last 5 or 6 years, Cooperative Extension has been housed at the Old Dominion Agriculture Center. The county is responsible for providing that space for the service provided by VPI. There has been a lot of mutual covenants and exchanges and never a real good, clear delineation of that relationship in the past. And what we have done is renegotiate that contract for that space that Cooperative Extension occupies at the center and are providing this evening, and you have the most recent copy in front of you now, and there's copies available for the public, of a lease for approximately 3,000 square foot to house Cooperative Extension with the Old Dominion Agriculture Center. And we're asking for your approval of that lease this evening.
Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the lease that is in our board packet.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barksdale, seconded by Mr. Hagerman. Any discussion?
I'd just like to thank staff, and especially you, Mr. Smitherman, for getting this done. Ever since I've been on this board, could never get any clear answers on about the lease overlap and how it worked. And, you know, I'm on a board, and it was explained to me 2 or 3 different ways, several different times, and I never was satisfied with it. And I'm glad we're finally getting something in writing that we understand and everybody knows their role, and I appreciate it, y'all's work.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blackstock. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr.
I'd like our county administrator to go over that in somewhat detail. This indicates, I think, certainly that this board will be certainly on where the agricultural will be on its gentlemen and all those people who belong to that organization. That basically separates the county and the agricultural board each on their own.
Sure. And this certainly has took place long ago, 2 administrators ago. When that facility was built and when the county moved into the current facility, Cooperative Extension was kind of left in a lurch. They didn't really have a home. We didn't really have great space for them. And the county, respectfully, kind of was looking for the easiest way to get this done. And the easiest way ended up being the exchange of goods and services and cash to get Cooperative Extension a home at the Ag Center. That exchange included having a county employee down at the Ag Center for janitorial services. It included the county paying for electricity services. It included the county providing cleaning and paper products and a few other miscellaneous items in exchange for this space. The current lease provides that we pay for the space we use, and by the way, the Cooperative Extension provides their own telephone service and internet service, and everything else is provided by the landlord. So from now on, we won't be paying an electricity bill. We will not have an employee down there. We will not be providing paper and cleaning products. It is a traditional tenant landlord relationship from here forward with a monetary exchange, and it's a clean line where we no longer have, we have the relationship clearly defined, and there's no more gray area about who's responsible for what.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I want to
Yes,
point
sir,
out
Mr.
one thing.
Blackstock.
I want to make sure that everybody understands that this agreement is with the Old Dominion Agricultural Foundation. The Ag Board, which we've had enough discussion on over time, has nothing to do with this.
That is correct. This is a different entity.
Yeah.
This is the Old Dominion Ag Foundation that owns the Old Dominion Agriculture Center.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Appointments. Pittsylvania County Public Library Board of Trustees.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Karen Eads of Bridgewood Drive. Looking at her resume, I don't think we get anybody more qualified than this. Her occupation, reading tutor, she's an avid leader of book club, founder, and library advocate. I think that's who we want on this board. Very qualified.
Good job, Mr. Chairman. You found her?
I ain't taking credit for it.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barber, seconded by Mr. Scarce. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Discussion. I just want to say something so Ms. Flippin will hear this for the record. I'm still looking for a representative for the Bannister District on the Public Library Board, so I want her to know that I'm still looking. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I want to thank Ms. Flippin because she helped me through this endeavor with getting the forms filled out and all that. You do a great job. Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you too, Mr. Barber, for helping me out. Items from the closed session.
Mr. Scarce, this is where you read your motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion in an effort to strengthen our partnership and to continue improving the county's economy. I make the motion that we hold a public hearing during the board's scheduled June meeting to consider Mid-Atlantic Broadband for tax exempt status in Pennsylvania County. As Mid-Atlantic Broadband is set up as a nonprofit organization, I feel like this is an appropriate action on the county's part.
Second.
Mr. Hunter, do we need to vote on this now?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
Just before we vote, we may have to have a special call meeting for the animal shelter, and if that's the case, since time is of the essence of this, just your motion says June, it may not be at the regular scheduled meeting, just for the board to understand. Is that okay?
I'm sorry, I thought we were going to go ahead and have it at that next.
June 5th.
June 5th.
We're going to do it June 5th, yes.
June 5th. Everybody understands the motion? Okay, do we need a roll call, Mr. Hunt, since
No,
we don't
just
have
show of
it?
hands is fine.
Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. Before we enter closed session, I would like to, Mr. Hunt, if it's okay, go ahead and do board announcements and everything so the public can do what they'd like. This time we'll start with Mr. Barksdale.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I am done with the VACO certification course, 18 months. We'll graduate at the Homestead this fall at the VACO annual conference.
Congratulations. Mr. Davis.
No, I have none.
Mr. Scarce.
I have no comments.
Mr. Blackstock.
I'd like to just take a chance to thank the members of the board and county staff and citizens too that showed a lot of love, compassion, and hospitality towards my family during the recent death of my stepfather, Richard Wilson. I, as well as my family, certainly appreciate it. Second thing I'd like to add is that tomorrow night from 6 to 8 at the community center, we're having a informational get-together about the new animal shelter, and I will be attending and look forward to seeing a large turnout for that.
Thank you, Mr. Blackstock. Mr. Hagelman?
I'm not exactly sure how proper this is, but, Mr. Chairman, There's a gentleman and his wife has been sitting here all evening, and he gave up his spot to speak for other people when we're having so many people here. But the River and Stone has purchased the Gretna, the old Gretna school in Gretna, and he's putting in a lots of money for so much there in Gretna, but and I don't know if this is I didn't hear this, but I don't know if the old school down at the Blair's is being taken down, and if so, he would certainly like to see if he could get the basketball goals and bleachers, but perhaps he can come back again and see you personally if that would, and that is him and his wife right there.
I'll get with him after the meeting.
Thank you. That's all.
So, thank you, Mr. Hagan.
Thank you.
Mr. Barber?
I have none.
Okay, I have three quick items. One, I'd like to congratulate Averett University on their first equestrian national championships, coached by Ginger Henderson. You know, it's a major accomplishment when we have one of our schools or one of our colleges here that have a national championship, something for all of us to be proud of. So when you see those Averett folks, congratulate them because they got us a national championship, and we're very happy of that. And number two item was the Career in Tech, Pittsylvania County Career in Tech had 7 students that won gold at the state championships recently, which really goes right along with our economic development projects and everything. So we are seeing great returns on our investment of both the Career Tech and the STEM Center, and then on the DCC and the Haas Center. So we're very proud of those students. And I did talk with Ms. Rigney, and they'll be going to their national competition in June. So hopefully we will get them all here to recognize those folks for that outstanding accomplishment with the state titles, and then, you know, keep them in your thoughts and all, that they'll bring some more national championships back here. It's be great for Pittsylvania County and for the school system and the students. And just as a reminder, there will be a groundbreaking for the broadband on Friday morning at 10 at the base of White Oak Mountain. This is a major step for Pittsylvania County, so want to invite all of our citizens out to that, and hope we'll have good participation. Luke, we'd like to see the press there. Yeah, okay. Like to see you there also. We appreciate all you all do for us, and we say that every time, and we don't want to be remiss. We appreciate you all getting the information out there. That's all I had, so we'll get reports from County Administrator.
Just one report. I'm going to have to correct Mr. Blackstock. It's not an information session, it's an information party.
I didn't want my mother to know I was going to a party on Wednesday night. Supposed to be in church.
It is a church night, but it's going to be from 6 to 8, and it's enough time to come after church supper on Wednesday night. But it is going to be extremely well attended. There is tremendous participation from the local SPCA, from Happy Tales Cat Rescue. The Community Foundation will be there. Dr. Joey Fawcett will be there giving away and signing books. We will have a lot of information about the shelter, everything you want to know about the new facility. This is a great time to learn about it. It's going to be a celebration, well attended, lots of support, and we're really looking forward to this being the kickoff of about 4-6 weeks of really great things, working toward a roughly July 15th opening of our new facility. Thank you.
Mr. Hunt.
On Thursday at Chatham Community Center from 6 to about 7:30, we're having a Virginia FOIA training session led by Maria J.K. Everett of the Virginia FOIA Council. I encourage everybody to come. It's free of charge. Public is welcome as well. And then afterwards, we're gonna have a special call meeting of the IDA to discuss some economic development projects that Mr. Rowe has. So Thursday is gonna be a long day and night. And as you see from back-to-back events at the Chatham Community Center, we already are wearing that place out, and we're very thankful that the board took the necessary steps to acquire that valuable asset for the community. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. And once again, the animal shelter tomorrow night, our wonderful representatives from the media, please come out to the party. Be a part. We will be moving into closed session. Mr. Hunt.
Mr. Blackstock's got the motion.
Mr. Blackstock's got the motion.
Let me find it. Y'all done hindered me so much here tonight. All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we enter into closed session for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, reassignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, authority 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended. Subject matter, county attorney, purpose, performance evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Blackstock. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We need a roll call, Mr. Hunt. Roll call, Ms. Lippin.
Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Hackerman?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Scares?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Barksdale?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes. All right, we are going into closed session. Thank you.
Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that they went into closed session for what was written on the agenda and adhered to the laws of closed session while in closed session. If anyone so believes they've departed for the reasons for going into closed session, please state so now and we entered into the minutes. This time I will do a roll call vote. Mr. Barber? Yes. Mr. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Barksdale?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Scares?
Yes.
And Mr. Warren?
Yes, can we get a motion to adjourn?
You can do it.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much.